Hello awesome people, what is going on? It is BradPhusion here and welcome to Medieval Engineers. So today's video will be focused primarily on my first few creations that I've managed to do in the game without studying the game at all before its launch, and just simply diving headfirst into the game and trying to figure out stuff for myself and how everything works together. Now, that being said, a lot of my creations obviously don't work, or some of them are mainly built for the aesthetic design choice basically. As I was, again, basically experimenting with the game, some things look rather silly, I admit, and I don't know how some of these things really work in real life, so me trying to replicate that in the game came up with some hilarious results, and hopefully I'll show you some of that to you guys here today. So, the first thing I want to show you guys is my house. One thing I have to say, obviously, before I get into this, the house is a joke. I built that just before I started recording, as I was trying to think of what exactly to say. The car is also a joke, as I built that, I don't know why I built this, actually. I wanted to see whether or not something like this could actually work. It does have a slight engine in the back, and I'll get to that in a second. Not really an engine, just something that I thought might work, but it doesn't actually work at all. So the first two things I want to say, the things I love about this game, the one thing is the music design. Whoever created the music for this game, congratulations. This is probably one of my favorite soundtracks just for its simplicity. I like it. It's really, like, right now this song playing, it's just relaxing, it's chilling, it's nice, it suits, it's perfect. The second thing I want to say is I love the building that happens in this game, and I'll show you that a little bit more later on, but basically the ability to place more than one object on one grid space. Unlike Space Invaders, and I know some Space Invaders veterans or people who have played Space Invaders for a long time, or just anyone who's played Space Invaders basically, you might notice that when you place down, say for example, an interior light on a wall, that now space is taken up by the interior light and you cannot put anything else there because that takes up that whole grid space. Now you have the ability in this game to combine a lot of things into one space. So for example, let me give... Where's a quick example here? So right here I have a floorboard, I have a wall, another wall, and a ceiling block all on one grid space. Because I can combine builds together in such a way that makes things look rather fluid and rather nice. Now this obviously is a rather gimmicky house. I don't know why I built it, I just thought it would be kind of cool to start off the intro out here. And that way we can move our way over to my other builds that I've been working on. Now again, this is my progress after playing the game for probably about 3 to 4 hours or so. I've been meaning to do a video on this for a few days now, since the game had actually come out for its 24-hour sale. However, I just could not find the words to say for this video, and I just kept messing it up and restarting over and over again, until we are here now, after my probably 50th attempt. So let's get inside my little joking car here, and let's ride this over towards my base, shall we? A little weird. It works nonetheless. I guess I just turn to the side and the car kind of turns with it. It's like I said, it's a joke. The idea behind this mechanism was I was hoping that I'd be able to turn these around and actually power the engine somehow by just kind of winding it together. That sadly doesn't work because I don't have the strength to pull a whole vehicle. Sadly, apparently I don't. Anyway, but let's abandon the vehicle here. That's just rather silly. I was thinking maybe I could ride it all the way over to my creations, but not right now. I think I'd much rather just kind of fly over there. Now you can fly because this is creative. This game only does have creative right now, and I should say that right now the landscapes are also rather limited. This is not the largest of landscapes, but it is a rather large flat plain, so I prefer the flat plain so I can build a lot of my creations without having to worry about leveling out the ground itself, as you'll see over here. So the first thing I want to show you is more of an aesthetic build, and that is this castle slash small village here, minus the slight trebuchet or catapult out the front here. Now this is done, obviously it's not complete, this was done in the sense of making something kind of authentic looking. The way I've gone about this is building it so the whole interior is made out of dirt, other than the places where people don't often walk. So obviously people would walk along here, therefore the grass doesn't have a chance to grow and stays as a dirty surface. However, in places like this here, the grass will grow and, you know, it looks rather nice, I think. So, like, for example, like right from here, it looks kind of authentic. Obviously I need a little bit more grass and buildings here, but I've tried to make it look as nice as I can whilst I'm building it. And I think I've gotten some really nice results here. So let me explain this place so far. So right now we have a small village at the front here, we have our main castle at the back here, and we'll most likely have a barracks or a few other buildings and housing within these small areas right around here. So the first building we want to show you guys is the Tavern of sorts. Now this Again, there's not really that much furniture. If I show you guys the menu right now, the menu is rather limited with what you can place. Now, there is a mod that allows you access to all the blocks that are being currently disabled in the game. They've been disabled simply because they don't find that they're ready to use yet. Some of them don't have textures, some of them just simply don't work at all. Some are aesthetic that don't really feel right, and again, some are just missing their blocks and collision paths altogether. So I've decided to turn it off for this video just so I don't overcomplicate things with the amount of blocks that they do have disabled right now, and show you guys what is in right now that you can access without using mods to enable them. So this is what we have access to, and this is what I've used to build all that you can see around me. Now, the third thing I like about the game is the ability to use small ship blocks. I'm going to say small ship blocks because that's what I'm referring to when I say small blocks of wood-like nature. So, for example, these blocks here, going all the way up here, are made using these smaller blocks, as well as this bar that I have built over here as well. This is used rather small blocks, and if I actually access my inventory, I can show you guys those blocks right now. So if I press 7, this is the size of the blocks, and I can actually build this wherever I want and kind of combine it to the surface. Now, you may notice the wall is kind of glittering. That is just an overlapping texture issue, and that is because of the way I decided to build the outside walls, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But here's the bar, basically. You serve out the drinks, steal it out to the people, and, you know, they can walk around, rest around. I was thinking about building tables. I haven't actually done it yet. I think there is tables as furniture, and I'd much rather put them in here than build them out of this wood-like surface. And up here you have basically just a place where you can relax, chill, and have a drink yet again. I was thinking putting a ceiling on this place, and I can do that actually if I go over to my other tab here, and just go up here. Now I can put like the wooden surface basically everywhere. So let's do that, shall we? Let's place a tile within a tile. Let's go all the way over here. There we go. Now we have a wooden ceiling of sorts, so it doesn't look too weird or anything like that. And now let's go outside, out the back door here. We have a little bit of lumber in storage, in case they need it for anything else. And over here we have a few smaller houses that I've built. These ones are built identically, though I have built them one by one, because if I try to copy and paste it, copy paste everything that is connected in this small area here. So it will try to lift up the castle, the walls, and all that. So I've basically just built them one by one, and kind of built the interior almost identically. So in the back here you have a wooden bed, because there are no beds yet, and a small little table and a platform up here, basically so you can store any food, any barrels or anything like that up top. Now there would be a ladder here. There is actually a ladder in the game, and it's currently in the disabled or in the modded area, but I haven't got that turned on right now. But it does look kind of nice, I think. A rather simple house, rather small house, but nonetheless it gets the job done. I think I should show you guys the walls now before moving on to anything else. These here will be houses as well. I just haven't gotten around to building them just yet. Again, this is a few hours into my game experience. Just so basically, it's kind of my first impressions, my really early builds of understanding how the game works. And here we are up on the wall, where I put down a little bit of a wood surface. I don't know why I put wood here. I just thought it looked rather nice, so I decided to leave it here instead. And if we come over here, we can come up to one of the towers, one of the two towers that we have. We haven't built the third and fourth towers. I wasn't too sure whether or not I would build them identically or build them differently. Now this was built without me realizing a few things as well, and that is something that I'll show you guys in a second here. Let's go at the top. Let's have a look down at everything from up the top of the tower here. Very nice view, and you can look down at the castle and everything. I would like weapons in this game. Obviously it's only creative right now, but I'd love to see bows and swords and stuff, and the ability to fight other people using said weapons would be really, really awesome. But yeah, so here's the tower view. Very nice skybox, by the way. I don't know, it's very simple, but I like it. I would like it to be animated as well. I'd like skyboxes in Space Invaders to be animated as well, but I feel that might be a little bit too much to ask for. Anyway, let's go down over here, and we'll go show you guys the castle before moving on to more mechanical type builds. And again, this is my attempt of understanding how everything works in the game. Now this castle was built after I learnt a few things, and I'll explain these things right now. So you notice that some blocks in my inventory will have a little plus next to them, such as these walls here. Some of the ceiling pieces will have these pluses next to them. This one here will have pluses. The plus means that there's extra options to this block, or extra settings available to them. The best thing to explain it with would be the staircases of sorts. So if I still have a staircase in my inventory, which I do, Now, I can rotate this around using the insert and home keys and everything like that, much like you do in Space Invaders. Now, you might be wondering, where's this, this staircase going to the left? Obviously, it can't be accessed via just flipping this around. It might be, but it would look a little odd. Now, if I use the scroll wheel, that'll give me access to alternative options for this block. In this instance, it'll allow me to see the left staircase. A little bit more, better example, I guess, better to show off exactly what I mean. This here is a platform of sorts. Now, if I scroll, I gain access to the corner bit of it, and then the inverted corner of it, simply by just using my scroll wheel. Now, another block to use it on would be the rooftop. If I scroll again, you have access to the inverted corner, and then the corner block of it. So it's nice that they've got all these blocks here that are kind of hidden away. This took me a while to realize, by the way, because I didn't actually know any of this when I first started playing. This was about 2 hours into the game, and as you can tell, all these wall parts, all these places to get up to the wall, were all built identically, because at the point, I thought there was only one type of staircase, and that was the one going up to the right. Eventually I figured out that you could rotate the blocks using the scroll wheel, or get alternative options using the scroll wheel, and this is where the castle has come into play, using a sort of mirroring effect, which there isn't a mirroring tool in the game, at least not to my knowledge. I haven't had access to it, but this is built in such a way that everything has been kind of obviously mirrored. So let's explain some of the rooms in here. So we have a basic storage room over here, and yet again on the side as well. This is where all the food and everything would be stored. And then out here we have the main hall slash throne room. So you have the throne seat up back here. You have the dining table there and whatnot. I think this is a pretty great view that you'd have. I'm thinking about having a skylight somewhere in here, but I'm not entirely too sure where exactly to put that. Over here we have a few more rooms as well. This could be used for storage or for someone to sleeping quarters. I was thinking maybe having one of the king's sleeping quarters in here, just making this really decked out and really nice looking. But anyway, let's go up the main staircase here. And this will lead us to the rooms on the sides here. These are rooms for the obviously the children that live inside the house here. The daughters, or I guess the prince and princesses, or the daughters and sons of the king. And I think that looks rather nice. And over here, obviously, you have a little bit more storage space for your barrels, your wine, and your food and whatnot. And then upstairs, again, we have access to what would be the ceiling of sorts that I haven't actually finished just yet. But again, you can see my usage of the wooden planks on top of the surface here. That makes everything look a little bit nice, at least in my opinion it does. And just basically makes everything look a little bit smoother here. Now there is one block I would wish that they would have in the game that I haven't been able to find yet, either in the disabled blocks or in the normal ones, and that is a simple small stone platform of sorts. So kind of just imagine like this here, but one block of just that. Right now there's no blocks that are like that, the walls don't exactly rotate the other way. So what I've had to do is I had to use these curved blocks and kind of get these to overlap to create these kind of corners and everything, where everything is connected. And the places where I would use the stone block, I've had to make do with using, again, the corners or basically a bunch of other blocks to kind of fill in that gap there. But nonetheless, that is it for my aesthetic builds of such. I think it looks rather nice so far. I'm yet to finish up at the top of the castle. I'll probably put a tower or a few towers on the top there. I think I'm almost finished with it. It looks fairly blocky, but on the inside I think it looks rather nice. Now, again, let's go over to the mechanical builds. This is the first thing I built in the game mechanically, and this did actually work initially, but there was a fix that was released, or a patch released for the game that actually kind of disabled this in such a sense. So let me explain how it basically works, the tools and everything on here. And a quick shout out to Wasted Space, who was doing a basics video on the game, or who did a basics video on this game, explaining all the blocks and all their functionalities. And if you guys want to watch that, I'll put a link in the description down below and you guys can go check that out. I'll give you guys a quick run through before moving on to some of my more advanced things. So this here is obviously the holder for any of the ammunition that you're going to launch. This here is a attachment surface for a rope. This here is a torsion screw of sorts. Basically, if you pull back on this, it'll want to go the opposite way till its resting space. So basically, if I apply pressure, and let me attach the rope here to the rope wheel. This is the rope drum of sorts, and I can basically wind it up using this lever here. So if I wind it up like such, you'll see that I'll actually pull on it, but when I release or cut the rope, you'll actually see that it'll go back to its original spot, launching it rather fast. Now, I had built this in such a way that I can pull it almost near horizontally, because this was built to be kind of within a castle wall, so you wouldn't be able to see it from the outside. You'd be able to actually access the top of it via a castle wall and such. So this is me pulling it back here, and again, if I put a wall down, you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So let me go quick here with a wall, and again just along here, and you guys can see that at least it should be accessible via a wall. And again, this would be behind a wall, so for the enemy's perspective, they would no idea that there's a trebuchet in here or something that could actually kill them. But let me quickly spawn a projectile here, and I'll just launch it. Hopefully it won't destroy the building I'm working on, though I feel it might do. Now, another thing I do love about the game is the ability to place objects not connected to anything. So if I press the J key, that will allow me to place an object in this kind of free-form state. So if I click here to place it, it places an object that I can then move around and push around. This is how you put the lumber and stuff on the ground as well. So if I click there like that, it is now physical and I can push it around. However, if I press J again, this will actually attach it to the surface and make it unmovable, basically, because it is now part of this object of sorts, or connected in such a way where it's not able to be moved. But if I press J, then obviously again I have another block that can be moved around. So let me go back to the ball here. Let me load this up into the cannon or trebuchet of sorts. And let me cut the rope here, and hopefully this will launch it, but I have a feeling it'll break because this is the tendency that seems to happen for me now. And no, it actually launched it. Please don't hit the tower. You missed the tower. Great. It actually got awfully close to hitting the tower, surprisingly, considering this was placed here long before I even built the castle, and that wasn't meant to be lined up in any way. But that's the first thing I built, and I was kind of happy with how it worked, because it actually did surprisingly work. Now, let me go over here to show off some of the other things I have built as well. Now, the next thing I want to move on to was some sort of lift of sorts to get from point A to point B between two areas, basically, to go back and forth. Now, my original idea was to use 2 rope drums on either side, and basically, if you wind one end, the other end, because it's not locked in any way, it should actually unwind the rope. That was what should have happened, however, it never ended up working out that way. So if I apply tension to this one here and pull it up, you'll see that it'll go up a little bit here, and it'll kind of bounce around for a bit. It'll do this for a long while, and eventually it'll just continually go faster and faster and faster, and it'll never stop. Yeah, that was my progress done with this thing. It never ended up working out, sadly. And now I do have a few other variants that I had tried out that I thought might work that never actually ended up working. It seems like it may have stabilized. For now, maybe? No, it's going to continue going. So this one here was an interesting variant. This one here kind of worked in a rather weird way. So I had the idea of using cogs to make one barrel spin the other way in a very old-fashioned way, because there are no cogs in the game just yet. I would much like cogs to be in here. But the idea was to use these 2 rope drums, much like those rope drums there, one connected to one surface, one connected to the other one. But these ones over here would be used to spin them the other way. So now my idea was connecting these like this, and if I actually pull this together like so, you'll actually see, at least it should, by running it the right way. My English is terrible today. These they work, and they're not doing it now, strangely enough. They actually were connected, or pulling close together, and they were actually making each other rotate around. I should have footage of that, but it seems like it doesn't want to work today, which is rather sad, because it was actually doing it just before, and they're going in the backgrounds. Ah, it's lovely. Let's try this once more. I don't think it'll work. It doesn't want to work today. That's strange. I actually had this working during a stream, and that's going to hit the ground very, very soon. But let's try this once more. I feel this won't work again, but nonetheless, it was an idea that, again... Oh! No, it's going to start spinning around. Well, we almost had it. Let me place it the right way here and think that... let's see if it's still connected. I don't think it is. Oh, well, no biggie. We'll, I think it's because it didn't have enough weight. Let me actually quickly add a weighted block here. Now, this adds an additional... It's more like... since iron, obviously, is heavier than wood is, so it weighs a little bit more and gives it a little bit more balance here. So if I do this once more, it shouldn't now move around, or if it's not going to actually connect again. Okay, yeah, it doesn't want to pull this together again. No biggie, that was just another prototype that never actually ended up working. Despite this connected to that would actually make these spin in opposite directions, it still ended up with a very similar result like that there. So I decided to move on to something else. Instead of going horizontally, how about going vertically? And that is where this simple design came in play. So we have again a rope drum on top with a lever or a switch. I don't know what that's actually called. Just quickly have a look here. well, a turn wheel, basically. Yeah, so if I pulled onto this, I could basically go in opposite directions, going upwards and downwards, and a little bit of weight on it to kind of keep it balanced and whatnot. So if we go inside this little castle here I built to get up to the top here, we have a little elevator. So let me quickly jump on here, or try to jump on and fail at doing it. Let me get out of here and we'll try that again. There we go. Let's get on side this this elevator here. There we go. Very nice. And if I wind it the right way, we'll actually start to go up. Now, obviously, it's dragging against the wall because it's a little bit off balanced here, but it does go rather smoothly sometimes. And again, you have to note the fact that I am standing off center, and that doesn't really help it either. But nonetheless, we made it to the top here, and now we can just jump out, and here we are at the top. Very nice. And going down is obviously a lot easier, as it's just simply, well, press and release and hope for the best, because you go down very, very fast. But nonetheless, I think this was an alright idea for a very early on understanding of the game. Very basic, nonetheless. But that was... Thank you? Oh, you came all the way over here. There you go. I'll free you from your curse. Or not. So the game is still very buggy. It's right now it's in pre-alpha. The game hasn't officially launched until the end of the month, so you have to keep that in mind as well, as you're kind of witnessing this go a little bit crazy. It is kind of frustrating to build stuff in this game when things don't really work right, I have to admit, and there's a few issues I've had, especially when streaming the game. I've had it just not work right. Now this is just going to leave us completely. Let's go over to the last things I've created. Now these don't work at all, but these were still prototypes that I was trying to get working. This here was basically the idea to see whether or not I could pull on these at the same time and if they'd actually go back, and it did work nonetheless, though I did pull at different times because of it being off-center. So I decided to build it on a more of a flat surface, and this is where I got this one over here. And the idea between this one was, if I pull back on this here, this would pull this little cube back, and this would actually in turn pull back the arm. So if I stuck anything in front of that, it would be pushed forwards, much like a normal blister of sorts. But this never ended up working either, because sliding it along the ground here would actually cause it to collide and, well, break. If I try to get rid of a block here, let me just quickly try again. Let me remove the underside here real quick. Go with that there, and this here, and you'll actually see that it's now going to slide across and probably deal a lot of damage in a second or so. Actually, no, that's another thing that I don't like about the game either. When you edit anything that's connected via rope, you don't have to reconnect the rope or reload the world. So basically, I'll have to reconnect it like such, and then this here again to the arm, and then this one over here to the arm as well. It's a little annoying. I don't know whether it's just because it doesn't update the rope's conditions or whatnot, but now this should be updated, and it should hopefully pull back. Now again, this is most likely going to break it. Yes, it goes a little wonky and everything like that. So technically, it should in a way work, but this is an early access game we're talking about here, and physics don't really seem to be something that works out rather nicely. And again, this is within my first 2 to 3 hours of playing in this game with no studying whatsoever on how these things were meant to work in real life. Obviously, I will study this in time and I will get better at this game, but this is what I came up with in my very little understanding of both the game and how these things worked in real life. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Obviously, again, I'll do some more advanced creations in the next coming weeks, and maybe I'll show off this castle once it's actually done, or this village and whatnot. But for now, I'll leave this here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Let me know what you guys think of Medieval Engineers. Stay awesome, everyone.